Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 13th, 2021 meeting of the Town of Islip Zoning Board of Appeals. We'll start by reading the public notice. Notice is hereby given that due to the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic and recent executive orders issued by the governor, the Town of Islip Zoning Board of Appeals hearing scheduled for Tuesday, April 13th, 2021 at 6 p.m. will be held electronically via Zoom webinar. Instead of an in-person public hearing, it will be streamed live over the internet. Dated April 6, 2021, Islip, New York. John M. Lorenzo, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, our first hearing tonight is number 207-21, Adam J. and Jamie Hamill. Permission to leave in-ground pool having a rear yard of 17 feet instead of the required 18 feet, and pool patio having a side yard of 0.5 feet instead of the required 6 feet. Residence AA District, southeast corner of Charlotte Place, number 8, and Broadway Avenue, Sayville, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes.
All
Name and
right,
address for the record, please, sir.
Excuse me?
Name and address for the record, please.
Oh, Adam Hamill, 8 Charlotte Place, Sayville, New York, 11782.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. You have an in-ground pool that's 1 foot a little too close?
Yeah, Dunright submitted the plans. They did everything correctly, and I guess they dug it 1 foot too short.
Okay. And a pool patio just will hit the corner.
Yeah,
of
the
pool
the
is 2
patio,
foot.
when I purchased my house, it had the fence was kind of put in a weird place. So it was an honest mistake when the patio guys did it. They kind of went off the fence rather than the property line, which I think is where when they built the pool, I think they got confused because the fences were all located in the wrong location.
No problem. These are pavers, right? Pervious
Yeah,
drain?
regular pavers, yep.
Okay, great. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
second.
Favor?
Aye.
Application granted, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Our next application is number 208-21, Elvis O. Reyes and Esmeralda Y Cuadra Reyes. Permission to install in-ground pool, leaving a rear yard of 14 feet instead of the required 18 feet, and to leave a shed 12.3 feet by 16.6 feet, having a rear yard of 2 feet instead of the required 4 feet. Residence AA District, south side of 2nd Avenue, number 36, 100 feet east of 4th Street, Brentwood, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
He's here. I moved Peter Booth into the panel. Peter, you may have to unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Name and
Okay.
address for the record, please.
Okay, my name is Peter Booth, 5 Kirk Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. Mr. and Mrs. Reyes comes before the board requesting a rear yard variance of 14 foot instead of the required 18 foot in a AA or AAA zone. The problem that we had there, I had submitted one survey that also showed you a cesspool that was in the area where the proposed pool is going to be going as well. So that cesspool would have to be moved, as well as there's no other place where the pool can actually go to move it back on the side of the property, because then you're contending with the overhead wires as well. So the area, there are many different zoning over there, so I don't think it's an issue or have an impact with any of the surrounding properties. And I believe that there have been instances of variances that have been granted in the area before for the 14 foot. And then also they're looking for the 2 foot for the shed in the rear yard. So I put it before the board, should you have any question.
Deirdre, from planning, any rear yard setback for 14 instead of 18?
There's no precedent in this area, but seeing as it's only one side and it's kind of the curve of the pool, I have no objections.
Go with the frame shed too?
Yep.
Anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicoli, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Application granted.
Thank you very much.
Next application number 209-21, Sylvester and Katarzyna Mikalajic. Permission to erect a second-story addition, leaving a side yard of 13.6 feet instead of the required 14 feet, and total side yards of 27.5 feet instead of the required 28 feet. Residence A District, east side of Riley Street, number 35, 75 feet south of Altmar Avenue, West Islip, New York. My apologies to the applicant. I'm half Polish. I should have done better with that one. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hi, I apologize. I'm so
That's okay.
No,
sorry.
it's okay. It's complicated. You can use this name as a password next time.
Hearing this whole time.
You know, if you ever saw my mother's maiden name, there's like one vowel and 23 letters. So, like I said, I really should have done better. My apologies.
We're dealing
How
with
do you
that
pronounce
with
it?
daily basics.
How do you pronounce it?
He's.
Mikołajczyk.
Okay. He's so-
Mikołajczyk.
Perfect.
Just like it's spelled. Okay.
Perfect. That's it.
What do you guys say? Just name and address for the record,
He
please.
doesn't know.
Okay, so Sylvester
I already
Mikołajczyk,
named him. I'm back
35
home.
Riley
He's here
Street,
twice.
West Islip.
He's in the.
Great. You're here just to leave
Tell
side
him
yard
to, you know,
too short on that 13.6 instead of 14.
Yes, we are.
That seems de minimis. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to grant Mr. and Mrs. Mikołajczyk.
Appreciate it. Thank
application.
you very much.
You're just making me look bad, Mr.
Yeah.
Wexler. I'll second the motion.
In favor?
Aye.
Have a great night, guys.
Thank
Okay,
you.
appreciate. Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank
Next
you.
application number 210-21, Bernadette Acerno. Permission to erect a second-story addition 16 feet by 30 feet irregularly, leaving a side yard of 15.45 feet instead of the required 18 feet, total side yards of 30.9 feet instead of the required 36 feet, and to leave a driveway having a side yard of 2 feet instead of the required 4 feet. Residence AA 278 Cluster District, south side of Blue Point Road number 106, 125 feet west of Greenbelt Parkway, Hotesville, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Bernadette Acerno, I am here.
Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Bernadette Acerno, 106 Blue Point Road West, Holtzville, New York.
Great. How are you tonight?
Terrific, how are you?
You're seeking permission to erect a second-story addition. A little
Yes.
short on the side yard and the total side yards. Deirdre from planning, any objection to the side yards?
No objections. There's one precedent for a side yard of 15 feet.
Great. And the 2 feet instead of 4 feet for the driveway, we see them all the time. Those are minimums. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application?
there actually is a neighbor who did ask to attend, but I'm not. The Tibaldis. Mr. and Mrs. Tibaldi, did you want to speak? I think you indicated yes when you registered.
Are they showing as online? Because they did come to the house today and talk to us.
They were in the attendee panel.
They
and-
are.
Yeah, and I've moved them into panelists.
I think they just spoke, no?
That was-
Neighbors? No, these are neighbors. They live at 110
Okay, sorry.
Blue Point Road West.
All right, Mr. Baldi, you need to, or Mr. Tabaldi, you need to unmute yourself, sir. We can see you, but we can't hear you. Now we see Mrs. Tabaldi, but we can't hear her either. You both need to unmute yourselves.
Hello?
Hey.
Hello?
Hello?
There you go. Hello?
Okay, you're both in the same room. One of you has to turn your microphone off.
Okay, there you go. On the application, it's the 15.45 is gonna be maintained, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's all, that was my question.
Oh, and I have to add one thing on behalf of the applicant. I'm sorry, Bernadette, I almost forgot. Somehow it was realized after the public notices went out that there's also a roofed over front porch that will be in line with the 15.45. It's a permitted encroachment, so it doesn't need front yard setback relief. However, it does need the same side yard setback. So if you could amend the call to just add the words and roofed over porch after the dimensions of the second story addition.
Make a motion to amend the call.
Second.
Second.
Words?
Second.
All in favor?
All
Aye.
right, all right, but it doesn't change anything. You're still getting 15.45 feet, sir.
Right, off the addition, yep.
Okay.
Correct. All right, have a good night. Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Chairman, I move that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Granted.
All right, our next application is number 211-21. Michael DiPerzio, Geraldine and Robert DiPerzio Sr. Permission to erect a one-story addition, 22.4 feet by 28 feet, leaving a side yard of 12.1 feet instead of the required 14 feet, and total side yards of 24.1 feet instead of the required 28 feet, and to use dwelling for family use only, pursuant to section 68-419.1 addition, resulting in gross floor area increase of 37% instead of permitted 33.3%, Residence B, 278 Cluster District, west side of Glenmere Way, number 170, 151.58 feet south of Inverness Road, Holbrook, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
I'm for the applicant.
Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Joseph Walker, Double Check Builders, 270 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York, 11779.
How are you tonight?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Great, thanks. State your case.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to bring to your attention the following information with respect to this request. This hardship is not self-inflicted. We are seeking permission and not forgiveness. The degree of relaxation is totally minimal in that we are holding existing side yards and total side yard setbacks. The project was designed this way. The third thing is that we meet all the requirements with respect to the family use only. We don't comply with the percentage of percent. We exceed the 33 1/3% and 37%, but that's only a 0.11% of relaxation. I'd also like to bring to your attention that in 2019, we made the same request in a very similar situation. In fact, the setbacks were exactly the same in Holbrook. And at that time, the zoning department determined that they granted this a permit without the benefit of a variance. But in this case, it was determined that we needed the variance, so we're seeking it. There are no detriments with respect to the request in terms of emergency vehicles accessing the property or in the front of the property. The other thing is I'd like to bring to your attention is that it's very unusual in that this homeowner has taken great painstaking effort to make sure that every single item on the house is CO'd, sheds, sunrooms, etc., which they take great pride in. So I think that in the overview of the request, the request is minimal with respect to the relaxation requested.
So let me ask you something about your client. I saw there was Mr. DiPerzio was actually here too, but I didn't see him. His camera's not on. So is this Mr. DiPerzio involved in theater groups for children?
Actually, he is. That is Michael DiPerzio. He is. Yes, correct.
No,
yes.
I'm talking about Robert.
Robert, no, he was a big time supporter of Little League Baseball. In fact, we Double Check.
Right. I just want to make sure because I represented a Robert who was involved in those kinds of activities. So I just want to make sure it wasn't the same person. That's all.
Mr. Walker, let me ask you a question.
Just back to what you said. I'm Michael. I'm Robert DiPerzio Sr.'s son, and you're speaking about Robert DiPerzio Jr., who's my brother, who also lives in Holbrook.
Right, but he's not part of this application.
No, not a part of the.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, now that we have that straightened away.
Sorry, Mr. Wexler.
No, that's okay. No. It's you're doing what we all do. Is there any precedent you have for 37%? Mr. Walker.
In that area, I don't know of any. I was in contact with plenty. I didn't hear anything back. But with respect to the degree of relaxation, our view is that it's minimal to try and meet the needs of an extended family.
Yeah, but if we don't have any precedent and we grant you 37%, we're now going to change that neighborhood and we're going to have to grant it to others. So other than the fact that your clients want it, what is the rationale? If there's no precedent?
It's difficult to communicate with the town now to determine precedent. I would be guided by what planning might have to say.
Okay, let's see, that's
But-
fair enough.
but-
Let's see what
but
they say.
I would point out that the precedent has to start at some point, and that the overall degree of relaxation at 0.11% with respect to the needs of the family
All right,
is.
but we work in little
pretty minimal.
percentages in this business.
Ms.
So
Ryan.
1.11 is big.
Ms. Ryan, what say you?
There is no precedent for that percentage in this area, but this board has granted much higher percentages recently. I believe one percentage was in the 60s and the other percentage was up to 80% or 84%. So
Oh.
33 to 37%, that's not the largest increase that the board has seen nor approved.
And planning does not believe that we would change the nature and character of the area, do you?
Can I just help explain?
Well, wait, please let her answer the question.
Okay.
Not with that percentage, no.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Passaro. Please go ahead.
So Bill, this is a relaxation of the 1/3 expansion limitation that exists only for two-family, family use only applications.
Right.
So it's a difference of 37% expansion of the existing dwelling, which is relatively small, as opposed to the maximum allowable 33.3% expansion of the existing dwelling. It's not at all related to FAR.
Okay, that's good. Very good, thank you.
I might point out also that actually.
No, you're ahead of the game.
Mr. Walker, don't
Walker,
snatch
you're winning,
snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, sir.
You're winning.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
For a
Based on
period of?
the
Oh,
period.
for a period of 3 years on the apartment. I thank you, Ms. Passaro.
Second that too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Application granted. Have a great night.
Next application number 212-21, Joseph F. and Janet Calandrino to renew a permit for two-family, family use only, Residence B District, northwest corner of Haven Avenue, number 360, and Collington Drive, Ronkonkoma. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Okay, let's be patient. This is one of our two-family, family use only renewals. They have called a couple of times. They're most anxious to see if they can get going here.
Okay, can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Okay,
Okay.
how you guys doing?
Good, you just gotta shut off one, you must have two.
Okay,
I did.
we did.
We weren't
Okay,
sure
great.
which one would work.
Great, thank you so much. Name and address for the record, please.
I'm still getting that.
Free. Name Joseph Calandrino, 360 Haven Ave, Joseph and Janet Calandrino, 360 Haven Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York, 11779.
Great, and you're here to renew permit two-family, family use only. It's based on age, is what I'm reading in the file. Everything's in order, Mayor?
Yep, everything's in order.
All
Yep.
right, does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
next application number 213-21, Eric and Joanne Anderson to renew a permit for two-family, family use only, Residence B District, southeast corner of Jefferson Avenue, number 75, and Hancock Street, Brentwood, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
I've moved Joanne Anderson into the panel.
Thank you.
Let's see if we can help. Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Name and address for the record, please.
Joanne Anderson, 75 Jefferson Avenue, Brentwood, New York, 11717.
Great, you're here to seek permission to renew two-family, family use only. Based on
Yeah.
medical, it says in my files here, everything's in order, Mayor?
Everything's in order.
All right, does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicoli, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Thank you, you too.
Next application is number 214-21, Sharon Falco, to renew permit for family use only residence AA district, north side of East Walnut Street, number 5, 135 feet east of Islip Avenue, Islip, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, Sharon Falco.
Good evening, Ms. Falco. How are you?
Oh, quite well, thank you. And you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Name and address for the record, please.
Sharon Falco, 5 East Walnut Street, Islip, New York, 11751.
Great. And you're here to renew permit family use only also. It seems to be based on age. Everything in order, Mary?
Everything's in order.
All right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you,
Next
Sharon.
application is number 215-21, Katie Hamill. Permission to install an in-ground pool, leaving side yards of 15 feet and 17 feet instead of required 18 feet each. Pool patio, leaving side yards of 2 feet instead of the required 6 feet each. And to leave a shed having a side yard of 0.8 feet instead of the required 2 feet. Residence AA district, east side of Walnut Avenue, number 741, 312.75 feet south of Benedict Street, Bohemia, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Hi, yes, Katie here.
Good evening, Katie. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Name and address for the record, please.
Katie Hamill, 741 Walnut Avenue, Bohemia, New York, 11716.
Great. You're here seeking permission, install an in-ground pool, a little bit short on each side, and a pool patio, a little bit short.
Yep.
And also a shed, which is a little bit too close, but we see them all the time. All seems de minimis to me. Deirdre from planning, any objection?
No objections.
All right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Very much, you too.
Next application, number 216-21, Lauren Schwartz and Ann Y. Shields. Permission to install an outdoor shower with platform and stairs, leaving a second front yard of 11 feet instead of the required 15 feet. Residence BAA District, northwest corner of Holly Walk, number 80, and Central Walk, Fair Harbor, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, I am.
And who are
Good
you?
evening, sir.
How you doing? I'm Greg Rabin, Fire Island Contracting,
Address, please.
328 Plymouth Avenue, Brightwaters, New York, 11718.
Good night. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good. How's everybody doing?
Everyone's doing great. You playing a nice band too. I think I've seen you before.
Yes,
I don't
He
recognize
played
you
at my
without-
wedding.
I did. I was going to say I played at Nicolia's wedding.
Wow. Was it a raucous event?
One can never tell those little secrets.
Yes, it
Many
was.
trades. You're here to seek permission for your client to install an outdoor shower with platform and stairs. Side of 11 instead of 15. Can't believe you're installing an outdoor shower in Fire Island. Crazy.
Do people in Fair Harbor actually shower?
Oh, my.
Is that a rhetorical
Oh,
question?
man.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the hearing.
That's it.
I think we can all agree this is a de minimis application.
It's very de minimis. Yes, it is. I believe so also. Anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted, sir.
All right, next application is number 217-21, Walter Connolly, permission to erect a one-story addition 12 feet by 14.1 feet, leaving a rear yard of 13.58 feet instead of the required 25 feet, and to leave decking having a side yard of 4.5 feet, and on side property line not having a required setback of 5 feet each, and rear yard of 1.5 feet instead of the required 15 feet. Residence BAA District, west side of Keel Walk, number 8, 150 feet north of Central Walk, Fair Harbor. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself from this application.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We will greatly miss you.
I just
Some
promoted.
of us.
All right, do we have an applicant or a representative?
Yes, so it's me again, Greg Rabin, Fire Island Contracting, 328 Plymouth Avenue, Brightwaters, New York, 11718.
Oof. Got to push your luck, huh, Mr. Raven?
Mr. Raven, I wouldn't characterize this one as de minimis. This one you're gonna have to work for. What type of precedent do we have at almost a 50% relaxation to grant this?
So can I ask the planner, Ms. Ryan?
No, no, you can ask us and we will ask the planner, but we get it.
Okay, yeah, you don't have any, Mr. Raven, is that right?
My understanding is that the largest is right about at 39%.
Okay.
But
Ms. Ryan, care to be heard on that?
I wasn't able to find any precedent.
Yeah.
No precedent for any variance relief at all?
The closest was the decking with a rear yard of 2 feet.
Right.
I believe they're asking for 1.5. There's a few rear yards of 7.5 feet. That's really it.
But what about the proposed one-story addition?
Yeah, I wasn't able to find any precedent for that either.
What did you find precedent for?
Nothing precedent.
No, I kind of, I know that area.
All right. Mr. Raven, you want to take some time and reconsider perhaps and come back with maybe an application that might be supportable by the planning department, or do you wish to forge ahead tonight?
So, yes, I'd love the opportunity to come back with you guys. I was speaking with Aldo, for a while, and then obviously we all know that our beloved Aldo retired, and now I'm working with Ms. Bodemiller. But I'm looking towards your expertise with this to kind of help to guide us to get this situation.
I mean, look, the only expertise we have is to tell you there's no precedent, and whatever you come in with should be as minimal as possible to enhance your likelihood of success.
Let me put it this way, if I can add, seeking
Please, Mr.
our
Wexler.
expertise, at least my expertise, whatever it is, there's no precedent. So we're not going to grant anything that's going to make a room. If somebody needed a foot or a foot and a half, that's one thing. You want to build a whole room and the property doesn't support it. So.
Right. So if with that in mind, I guess I'm going to go back to planning and discuss some things with them. But Ms. Ryan mentioned that the side yards, that there was that, if we pull back on those side yards requests.
Why don't you do this? You know what? It's really complicated for us to do it in this format. But our vice chairman, Mr. Messina, said, why don't you take an adjournment, get pencil in hand, speak with Ms. Ryan and come back.
Perfect.
All right, Ms. Pissarro, I know you're not happy with us for that, but if you could give us a new date, please.
Well, not that I'm not happy with you, but we have the property owner who is in the panel as well, and
Yep.
we have the adjacent property owner.
Well, we're going to hear the adjacent property owner before we go. So.
Okay, thank you. So what's today, the 13th, 27th? May 4th would be 3 weeks from now. That would take a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, no, let's go beyond that, please.
Yeah, May 11
Okay, let's do that.
is 4 weeks.
And Mr. Raven, there's an adjoining property owner who's going to be heard tonight, and I'm going to ask if you and/or your client can please, with whatever you come up with, whatever modifications, sit down with the adjoining property owner, or virtually sit down, as the case may be, and be a good neighbor and perhaps discuss your plans with them as well. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks. And Ms. Pissarro, so can we have the adjoining neighbor, please?
I just promoted her in. Her name is Heather McDonald.
Ms. McDonald, would you like to be heard?
Yes, I was just going to say, actually, Mr. Rabin doesn't really have to sit down and explain it to me because I was fully in favor of the plans previously.
Oh,
I am
okay.
the closest neighbor, meaning the proposed addition comes closest to my house than any of the other houses.
Right.
And I actually think it would be a great improvement to the neighborhood, and I'm fully supportive of the application.
Thank you. And that's important for us to know, and we will take that into account when Mr. Rabin comes back. All right. That having been said, I'll entertain a motion, Mr. Wexler.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we adjourn until May 11th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Application adjourned till May 2nd. Good luck,
Can
Mr.
I ask
Raven.
one more question?
Yeah,
I'm
go,
sorry.
please, go right
Messina.
ahead. Go
Are
right
you guys
ahead.
playing over at Atlantique this summer?
That is the game plan, but you know, if you can help out with the town giving us the approval, that'd be great.
Let's do it right now, you guys.
One question too many, Mr. Wexler.
The answer to that is no.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
everybody.
Our next application is number 218-21. Megan A. Finnemore Stoya. Permission to leave a shed not having 20 feet behind front line of dwelling residence AA district, north side of Ventura Lane, number 181 feet west of Aberdeen Road, Bay Shore. Is there anyone here for the applicant? And welcome back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I don't think we do have anybody here for the applicant. There was no registration for this name, and I don't see anybody in the
Okay,
attendee
well,
panel.
second call, Mr. Chairman.
Second call, sir.
Thank you. Next application, number 219-21, Nicole and Bruce Anderson Jr. Permission to install a pool deck 42 feet by 46 feet irregular on side and rear property lines, not having a required setback of 6 feet each, Residence B District, south side of Hubert Avenue, number 147, 440 feet west of Coates Avenue, Holbrook, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, Bruce and Nicole Anderson, 147 Huber Avenue, Holbrook, New York, 11741.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So you're looking to install a pool deck right up to the property line? Is that what it is?
Correct.
Is it on the ground or is it elevated?
It's 16 inches off the ground.
Ooh.
As you probably know, the code on the side and rear is 6 feet. I'm sure we've seen a little bit of relief on the side and rear, but I don't believe we've seen a pool deck at 16 inches right up to each side and rear property line. Deirdre from planning, any input?
Not at this magnitude. I don't think I've seen. I don't think there was really any precedent for any pool deck that's a little raised up to the property line. And this is 46
feet of it, yeah.
feet.
Also, you know, the raised pool deck is an issue because it affects your neighbor's privacy quite severely when you go right up to the property line. So
What is who are your neighbors? Do we have a aerial? Is it residential property or is it?
It's residential.
Yeah, we actually spoke to two of our neighbors. One that is to our left. Our houses aren't every other number. I actually don't know what number they are.
We're at 147. Our neighbor is 143, and our other neighbor on the other side is 151, I believe.
what about the neighbor behind you? Because they'd be
No.
impacted as well.
We did speak to them briefly. He brought to our attention about the
Two. We have two neighbors behind
yes,
us.
that's
We
right.
have one that has about 80% of our fence, who recently moved in. And they had said that they were fine. It was our yard, do whatever you want. And then we have another neighbor that has probably about like 20% of the fence.
about 16 feet fence actually that joins our yards. He spoke to me actually every Saturday and asking if I would be willing to go to a foot away from the property line in the variance.
Well, here's the thing. We have this, we try and say on the board that if you can comply, why shouldn't you? And 6 feet side and 6 feet rear. I propose, and I don't know if the board's going to be with this, but maybe you leave a 4 foot rear and 4 foot side. And I would be okay with that. I don't know what the rest of the board's okay with, but that's something that I'd be okay with. If not, it'd have to be 6 feet.
I'd support that as well, Mr. Chairman.
I join in that.
Me
Are
too.
you willing to cut it back to 4 feet on the rear and 4 feet on the side?
But it's not built yet. It hasn't been put in at all. I want to go through the process before we do this. I'm willing, obviously, to go with anything the board would recommend. more is always better, but I appreciate the offer, yes.
If we give you up to the property line, we'd have to give other people up to the property line, and it's just not neighborly. I know your neighbors seem great about it now, but we just don't do that on the board here. So 4-foot rear, 4-foot side, we'll grant you on that tonight if the board seems fit. And if you'd like to do it at that, you can. If not, you can figure something else out.
I'm willing to accept it. Would I be pushing my luck if I asked for 3?
Yes.
Yes. We could give you 6.
But if you don't ask, you don't get. So you know what? No harm in asking, sir.
I appreciate that, but
Mad respect.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application?
There is a neighbor present. Just give us a wave if you want to speak. I guess not. I've moved him into the panel, but I guess he's satisfied.
That's Mr. DeRusso?
Correct.
Do you want to speak, sir? No. Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to deny the application as set forth in the call of the meeting, and to grant the application at 3 feet for side yard and 3 feet for rear yard setback.
4 feet, 4 feet.
4 feet, I'm sorry.
You were giving them what they wanted.
Look,
They
you
jumped
almost,
up and down.
I know. You guys almost hit the jackpot, man, and I'm only drinking water, you know?
Oh, he said.
Have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we didn't get a second on that.
Oh, second? Give me a second, anyone?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
All
Good
right,
night.
thank you very much. Good luck. The next application was adjourned from March 9th, 2021. Number 163-21, Michael and Karen Humphrey. Permission to erect a one-story addition 30 feet by 45.7 feet irregular, leaving a side yard of 14.6 feet instead of the required 18 feet. Residence AA District, east side of Oak Neck Lane, number 81, 2,098.1 feet south of Montauk Highway, West Islip. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
I'm Michael Humphrey at 81 Oak Neck Lane, and I believe my architect and expediter will be available if they see that we were called up.
Yep, we see them on the screen.
Okay.
Do you hear Frank Brown?
Mr. Reef, you're gonna have to turn off one of those microphones. Yeah.
No, leave one on, turn one off.
That might not be better.
Huh?
Nope, you gotta unmute yourself, sir.
All right.
There you go.
Turn this off. Turn that a little bit down. Can you hear us?
Yep. Name and address for the record, please.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Name and address for the record, please.
All right. My name is Frank Ralph, architect, 35 Pine Lawn Road, Melville. I am here on behalf of the applicant, Grady Humphrey. We have modified our design to provide a greater side yard setback. Previously, we were asking for a much closer dimension. However, we've worked with the homeowner to come up with a modified design for their addition. And we now have a side yard of 14.5 feet in an area where we're required to have 18 feet. And we would like to present this to you tonight as our modified design based on the comments from our last hearing. We believe that this solution meets the needs of the homeowner as well as tries to honor as much of a side yard setback as we could reasonably accommodate and still meet the program for Mr. Humphrey.
Mr. Reef, if I may, did you meet with planning and derive this setback with planning or just your client?
Based on, this
No,
is.
no, I just, it's a simple question. Did you meet with planning or you're not? Yes or no?
Based on the last hearing, we did discuss this as a potential.
No, Mr. Reef, please. Did you meet with planning to discuss this? I'm just trying to find out. You did or you didn't?
We did not speak to planning since
Okay.
the last presentation.
Okay, that's all you had to say. All right, I'm just curious.
Do we, Mr. Reed, do you have any precedent in the area for 14.6 instead of 14.6 instead of the required 18?
Correct.
Do you have any precedent in the area?
We
When
do
you-
have questions. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you're asking me or you're members of your board.
I'm asking you if you researched any precedent in the area for side yard relief.
I can help with that, everybody. This memorandum was presented by me at the last hearing, but prepared by Jessica Joyce of the Planning Department. And I think it's that, along with the board's concerns about the proximity to the prior proposal, is the reason it was adjourned. And Ms. Joyce tells us in her memo of March 9 that there is precedent in the area for a 14.5-foot side yard, ZBA application number 118-00. She then goes on to recommend that the application, as we heard it in March, be denied and it be granted no less than a 14.5-foot side yard.
So 14.6 would comply, right?
Correct.
All right, there we go.
All right.
Great. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted, sir. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next application number 220-21 South Shore University Hospital. Permission to install 4 additional facial signs where maximum 3 facial signs presently exist, having sign areas of 90.42 square feet, 62.11 square feet, 38.36 square feet, and 260.02 square feet instead of the permitted 16 square feet each, and a height of 58 feet, 20.5 feet, and 100 feet instead of the permitted 12 feet each, and to install 2 public interest signs having an area of 9.71 square feet and 12.35 square feet instead of permitted 3 square feet each, and a height of 11 feet instead of permitted 10 feet each, Triple D District, southwest corner of Union Boulevard and North Montgomery Avenue, Bay Shore, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Hi, that would be me, Lydia Jimenez.
Good evening. Just address for the record, please.
Good evening. Address is Lydia Jimenez, 71 Hanrahan Avenue, Farmingville, New York, 11738.
Great. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. State your case.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the plans you have up, which are the public interest signs on the east and west side of the parking garage. We needed 11 feet height variance due to the height of the parking garage to the enter and exit signs. And with the actual message also, they're basically enter, do not enter signs.
Okay.
These are all signs on the building. They're facial signs, right?
Yes,
Okay, so the height is really because it's that high on the building, right?
correct.
It's not like it's a freestanding sign that's 100 feet in the air.
No, it's
Right.
above the base where you go in through the parking garage.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, in light of that, I think that there's a valid reason for this type of relief, and I have no objection for whatever that's worth.
I agree with you 100%, Ms. Messina. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application?
I agree with Mr. Messina 99%.
Ms. Ryan wants to be heard, though.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes, I just want to request that the 4th sign that's shown here, that's on the side, if it could be non-illuminated or indirectly illuminated, just because it does face residences.
Yes, and I'm one of them. Hello.
Hi, okay.
Sir, we're going to ask in a moment to see if you'd like to be heard. Just want to let Ms.
Sure.
Deidre, Ms. Ryan
Thank you.
finish her statement.
Thank you.
Ms. Ryan, go ahead.
Otherwise, the signs are all, they're necessary, just telling people not to go in the wrong entrance, things like that. There's also signs that are going to be on other parts of the building, but with the size of the building, they're really not actually that large, even though they seem kind of large. So no objections to the majority of the application, just the one request that one of them not be directly illuminated.
Great. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Sir, you looking to be heard?
Yes. Hello. How you doing?
Good. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure. I'm 25 Fordham Place, Bayshore, New York, 11706. My name is Merrick Koshelak, and my house is directly in front of this parking garage that's being built.
Okay.
And to be honest, and last thing I need is more lights in my house, in my bedroom, on my deck, and everything else. So simply, anything that I can do, that I have spoken with my neighbors not to have more lights or plant more trees to block anything, that would be perfect. Because otherwise, quality of our life since the building has been built, it's much lower than it used to be. And that garage is a huge deterrent to our property and to our quality of life.
Ms. Jimenez,
Therefore,
the lighting here is all contained on the site, right? None of it goes off-site, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
well, the way my house is placed, and so are the other houses, those lights are exactly, in front of us.
I don't think any of the signs are illuminated, are they, or no?
Yes, they are illuminated, yes.
The ones in front of us today?
Yes, but they're illuminated on the site, Mr. Chairman. It's not like there's illumination that goes off-site.
Gotcha. Okay.
It has to be contained as part of probably covenants, if nothing else, as well as the code itself, I believe.
Okay.
There are lights right now, and to make it anything bigger or additional lights would
I understand, sir.
not a good thing.
I understand.
Appreciate that, sir.
Okay.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application?
Just me, so I get it straight. I think I heard Deirdre request that sign number 4 be non-illuminated, and I think I heard the applicant agree to that.
Yes.
Okay, so Deirdre, can you just help me out of this long call of the meeting? Which one is sign number 4?
I believe that's the do not enter sign. Is that the?
Yes, correct.
Right.
And that's facing the east side, Montgomery Avenue.
Is it one of the public interests?
Yes, I believe so.
It's one of the 2 public interests.
I think it's a 9.71.
Yes.
Right? Yep.
Okay, so the smaller of the 2 public interest signs shall be non-illuminated. Good, everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application with the condition that the smaller of the 2 public signs be not illuminated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next application is number 221-21, Michael and Brenda Kroll. Permission to erect a carport 17.4 feet by 32 feet with a second-story deck above 17.4 feet by 18.9 feet, leaving a side yard of 10 feet instead of 14 feet each, and to erect a 1-story addition, 2-story addition, and roofed-over porches, all having total side yards of 24 feet instead of the required 28 feet, and a floor area ratio of 31.15% instead of permitted 25%, and to leave a driveway having a side yard of 1.9 feet instead of the required 4 feet. Residence A District, east side of Handsome Avenue, number 315, 71 feet north of Selly Court, Sayville, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes.
Name and address for the record, please.
James Buller, architect, 85 East Main Street, Bayshore, New York, 11706.
How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing fine. About yourself?
Great, thanks. Go ahead, state your case.
Basically, the client wants to erect a carport and a deck on top with a 10-foot side yard. We are doing a 1 and 2 story addition that's not a variance. The carport obviously is a variance. I did reach out to planning, and there was a precedent in the area for 9.2 foot side yard for a 2nd story addition. And that same research also indicated that there was a precedent for 31.67 FAR in the area as well.
Why do you need the deck on the 2nd floor? It has tremendous impact on your neighbors. Tremendous impact.
It is very common down there, Mr. Messina.
Is that right?
Many of the houses on Hanson Avenue have that carport with a deck. Some of them have it off of a master bedroom or not.
I'll defer to the chairman's knowledge of the area.
I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that.
No.
it is very
If you're
common
saying
down
that
there.
it's the nature and character of the neighborhood, then I have, clearly have no objection. At least unless the neighbor voices one. So
It is common. Deirdre from planning, do you have any objection?
There is the one precedent with the side yard of 9.2, and there is a lot of high FAR precedents, 31.67, 34.4, and 33.31. So no objections.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good
Next
evening.
application number
Thank you.
222-21 Pavlo Tupacek. Permission to erect a 1st and 2nd story decks with pergola, leaving a rear yard of 17.6 feet instead of required 25 feet. To install a pool, leaving a rear yard of 5.6 feet instead of the required 14 feet, and to install driveway on side property line, not having a required setback of 4 feet. Residence A District, southerly terminus of Sequams Lane Center, number 258, 1,496.7 feet south of Park Place, West Islip, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Pablo is not here, although he did register today at 1:18 in the afternoon. So I've just emailed him.
All right, we can second call this, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
All right, our next application is number 223-21, Christopher M. and Karen Tanner. Permission to erect a 2-story addition, 19.16 feet by 24.91 feet irregular, leaving a floor area ratio of 31.28% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, south side of Garden Street, number 5, 104.85 feet west of Burke Avenue, Bay Shore, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
The applicant's here. Hello.
Hello, Christopher
Hello.
and Karen Tanner here.
Good evening. Just address for the record, please.
5 Garden Street, Bay Shore, New York, 11706.
Great. You're here seeking permission for a 2-story addition, little high on the floor area ratio. Do you know of any precedent in the area that's higher than 30%?
No, personally, we do not.
Deirdre from planning, do you have any precedent in the area higher than 30%?
There were 2 FARs in the area that were a bit higher than the normal 30. There's 30.6 and a 34.1.
Okay, so
What was it? What was the second one? I'm sorry.
34.1.
34.1. Do we know what the circumstances of that are? It seems excessive.
Not entirely. I tried to look at the scan for it, and it just showed that saying the entire house was 34.4. Sometimes it'll list like the garage and things like that when if it was like lower and they counted, and I know the code changed, so now not all garages count. So I'm not too sure about that, but it just said 34.1.
Isn't that, I'm just speaking, isn't that something we'd want to know? I mean, we're kind of pushing, we have a precedent. If we subtract that of what, 30.04 or 30.4? What was the first one, please?
30.6.
30.6. So, I mean, it's upping it over 31%.
It's only 0.6%, though.
But now you sound like the other applicant. It's only 1%. Tell me.
How come you don't yell at him like you yell at me? I don't understand that. Yell at him.
It's only 7.
Hey, Mr.
It's
Chairman,
only
you're
7
supposed to
feet.
foment harmony here, not dissent.
Code requires it.
I would have said that if all hell would have broke loose.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to kick it over to Sullivan.
Me?
I'll go with the board on this one. I don't have strong feelings either way.
Thank you.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, same to you, appreciate it.
Thank you for dealing
All
with
right,
us.
now next application number 2, or penultimate application, the second calls come back, is number 224-21, Katarina Bartha and Pulabe Banerjee. Permission to reconstruct a roof deck, leaving a front yard of 15 feet instead of required 25 feet, second front yard of 11 feet instead of the required 15 feet, side yard of 10 feet instead of required 15 feet, leaving a floor area ratio of 35% instead of permitted 30%, to leave first floor decking having a rear yard of 13.1 feet and second front yard of 10 feet instead of required 15 feet each, to erect decking, leaving a rear yard of 13.1 feet and second front yard of 6 instead of required 15 feet each, to leave a walkway having a side yard of 2.58 feet instead of required 4 feet, to relocate a shed, leaving a side yard of 2.7 feet instead of required 10 feet, and a front yard of 30 feet instead of required 60 feet, and to leave decking on grade having a front yard of 3.5 feet and second front yard of 10.1 feet instead of required 15 feet each. Residence BAA District, southwest corner of Holly Walk, number 82, and Central Walk, Fair Harbor, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant? And please tell us how you expect us to grant all that relief.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Me?
We can hear you. Yep. Name and address for the record, please.
Lisa Thornburg, PO Box 743, Ocean Beach, New York 11770.
How are you,
I'm
sir?
representing the owners. I'm the architect.
Great.
Sorry, Ms. Thornburg, is it LISE? Is that how you spell it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. So I know it sounds like a lot of requests, but they're very minor, I believe. So where do you want me to start? I guess the place to start would be number 1, the reconstruction of a roof deck, which was existing, and they removed it. The stair was not to code and very dangerous, not in good condition, and the railings of the roof deck were not in good condition. So they removed it a while ago.
It is on a CO.
It is.
It says replace deck,
But
275
I
feet. Is that
don't
the
even,
roof deck?
I don't even think that is the roof deck.
Oh, okay, it's a different deck. Sorry about that. I'll keep quiet.
I am not sure. You know, it's not very explicit.
It's
So,
close. It's close to the size. So
Yeah, it sounds like it, right?
maybe you would think that they
How
would
much
say.
of this is new construction and how much is reconstruction?
So the only real, well, the new construction would be, see the little corner on the north right. See, but I labeled C. That's just a little bit of an extension of the deck where the ramp was coming up. So that was an existing ramp coming up, which was very dangerous. You know, there wasn't enough room for the run of the ramp. So that's why we want to enter from Holly Walk and get a better slope, you know, a slope that meets code that way. Do you see the new entrance on Holly?
Yep.
Yeah.
I see that.
So we might have to just bump it out a little bit, the ramp, because of the electric meter. It's possible we won't have to do that, but we don't know yet.
Mr. Wexler, you're familiar with this area. Is this anything unusual here?
It doesn't look like it. I'm just trying to, it looks like it's mostly in keeping. I'll have to defer to Deidre if I'm wrong.
Well, I'm comparing the old survey to the new one, and it's pretty much right there, you know, taken into effect of new equipment that may be a few, you know, inches off or whatnot, but
Nothing major, right?
nothing crazy, to be honest with you. Other than that, proposed new deck addition that Lisa was talking about.
Ms. Ryan?
There is a lot of precedent in the area for side yard, rear yard. There's a little less for second front yard, but a lot of the second front yards, I think, are also like 11 instead of 15, so they do seem a bit minor.
Gotcha.
Even the shed, which seems kind of a big ask, I think it's 2.7 feet instead of 10. The shed's down here and it's 3.5 feet by 3 feet. It's tiny.
Right.
So no impact.
Correct.
All right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? No one, Mary? No one wants to be heard?
No neighbors want to be heard on this. We do have two of the applicants here.
No?
Wait.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Wax, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Well, second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Next
Both
application.
of our second calls have arrived, but if you'd
Okay.
like to just wait till the end.
Yeah, why don't we call they've been waiting patiently. So Pete, next application number 225-21, Peter T. and Maureen R. Carnavos. Permission to erect a roof over porch 10 feet by 25 feet, leaving a front yard of 15 feet instead of permitted encroachment setback of 20 feet, and to erect a second story addition 24.5 feet by 36.4 feet, all having a floor area ratio of 36% instead of the permitted 25%. Residence B District, northwest corner of Arlene Avenue, number 3, and Coates Avenue, Holbrook, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
I'm here, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Okay.
How are you
and-
today, Amy?
Good, I'm good, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Amy DeVito, Woodhull Expediting with offices at 1031 Main Street, Port Jefferson, New York. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, there is actually currently an open permit on this property for a 485 square foot addition, which is actually currently under construction. We just renewed the permit a couple of weeks ago. It expired in March. While the homeowners were under construction, they, I guess in framing out the interior renovations, they realized that the bedrooms were still a bit small, all being captured on the first floor. So they thought that since they did have such a nice roof pitch as part of the initial permit application and plans, that perhaps they could dormer the back of the home and create more of a colonial type house with the bedrooms upstairs. With that said, in going into the building department, we were notified that we would need 2 variances, one for floor area ratio and then a front yard setback, because in addition, we are proposing a 10-foot by 25-foot portico over the front porch. So part of
It's a big FAR.
it is, I did speak to Deirdre earlier, and she did share with me that there is FAR grants in the neighborhood not to exceed 30%. So in speaking with the architect and the homeowner, and just in reading the code, we are prepared to reduce the size of the front portico from 10 feet deep to 6 feet deep, which will bring us to a 19-foot front yard setback, and it would bring our FAR down to 32.3%. So
You're getting close. You're getting close.
Is there
Get
precedent?
closer.
Is
You
there
know,
precedent for that? Is there precedent for 32?
There's, from what Deirdre had found, there was a precedent for 30%, and there was a precedent.
30. Wait. Is there a precedent for 32%? What you're seeking?
No,
Okay.
precedent
Well,
for 30.
30. Okay. 30 is a nice round number. We like 30. 30 is good.
I like
think about
32, next round number. So
No,
with
no,
that
no,
said,
no. It's gonna-
so if I
Go
could
ahead.
just finish. So with that said,
Yeah.
that would bring our front yard setback to a 19-foot front yard setback. Instead of the 15 feet we were originally requesting, as per Deirdre, there is a precedent for, there's 2 precedents for front yard setback in the neighborhood, one for 19.1 and one for 20.5. So the challenge that we have is, with reducing the front portico to 6 feet, it's no longer going to count towards the FAR, which is how we're able to bring it down from the 36 to the 32. The issue is, I don't know how difficult it's going to be to lose another, 2.5%, 3% with the actual floor area that we're proposing on the second floor, because we are basically just dormering straight back and rounding out the back of the house. So I haven't been able to speak to the architect about that. So we do respectfully request that we could please be approved for the 32.3%.
Ms. DeVito, that is a wonderful argument. However, as you know, we don't write the code, we just have to enforce it, and we go up to 30%. There is no other precedent in the area for 32. So if you could somehow, maybe if you'd like to take an adjournment to speak to the architect to see if they can get down to 30%, or we can approve you at 30% for the FAR, and how you get there is your choice. I'm not trying to be difficult, but this is a complying neighborhood, and the code does say 25, and we are going to 30. So it's hard for us to go over that unless we have something to hang our hats on, which we don't.
I
in this
understand.
case.
So, Mr. Chairman, in that case, I understand, and I obviously respect the position of the board, and we would not like to take an adjournment. We would then like to proceed with a decision from the board this evening.
Will you be taking the 30%?
Yes.
Oh, even if she said no, what would you have done, John?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give you what you want.
That's true. He would have caved.
I feel
Yeah,
like
had you only held out, he would have caved.
I feel like I'm winning right now, Mr.
You
Chairman.
are.
Is that your wish to be heard this application?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask, we have the 15-foot setback for the front yard.
It would actually be 19, Mr. West.
19 now, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reduction
And
was passed to 19.
do we have precedent for 19? I didn't catch that.
Yes, we do. We have
Very
19.1
good.
and 20. We do.
That's precedent. Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions?
Excuse me, this is Christine Carter. My father is trying to unmute himself. He would like to speak. He's the resident of this home.
Sure.
Dad, you unmute yourself again. Nope.
So I respectfully just have a question for the
Just
board.
name and address for the record, please, just to keep our record. clean.
I'm the homeowner, Peter Carnivos, 3 Arlene Avenue, Holbrook, New York.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just trying to understand how we lose 2% square footage in the second floor.
So the code allows a permitted 25% of FAR. We as a board always give a little flexibility and see up to 30%. You're asking first for 36%, and then you cut it down to 32.4, I believe it was, or 32.6, whatever it may have been. We have no precedent in the area to go above 30%. So we have a conforming neighborhood, and our job is to keep the neighborhood conforming. And if we gave 32% to you, more people could come and it would just keep growing and growing and growing. So we try and hold our line unless there is precedent that we can hang our hat on for the precedent of 30%. That's where we're at.
And I would just respectfully just ask, and again, I'm new at this, and this is my only experience with this situation. My wife and I have been out of Holbrook for about a year, waiting for this project to be completed. I really want to go back to where we are. The design we put forth really allowed us to have bedrooms that our children can come stay with us. I'm not suggesting we're trying to do something that's outside of the realm of possibility. I'm just asking, or respectfully. I'm 67 years old. I've retired. My wife and I retired. We want to come back home. We're living in an apartment because we can't live in the house as you see it. And I'm really just asking. And I recognize respectfully that there's issue of precedent, and I'm pleading.
No, I appreciate that. And if there's a way that your architect or Amy can get down to 30% without taking any space of the house, that's fine. We're not experts into figuring out what the FAR is. We just have to keep a code and we have to hold by it. And 30% is the position we're in at this point. So I apologize about that. But again, we didn't write the code. We just have to uphold it. So if they can find another way to get down to 30%, still giving you your rooms for your children, that would be wonderful. I'm not sure they can, but that's something you'd have to discuss with them.
And Mr. Carnivos, I will be calling you after we close the hearing to just explain a little further so that you understand.
I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. And again, I'm a little bit, listening to the conversations that have occurred this evening, and you've been very, very gracious to everybody. And I'm like, seems like we're the only ones that are being told we can't do what we want to do.
Well, we technically could give you 25%. That's what the code says. We'll give
No,
you.
I'm not asking for anything less, sir.
No, I listen, if there was precedent in your area, sir, that showed 32, 34, and it was, more than just a one-off, as we call it, a precedent, we wouldn't even have this discussion, but your area is conforming, and we as a board give up to 30% from 25. And unless it's a non-conforming area, we hold our line at that, so it doesn't change the nature and character of the neighborhood. And that's where we have to be at that. So if they can get you to 30%, which I'm sure they can at some point, that would be what we have to give you today.
So what are you approving?
We're approving what we're going to vote on.
What if we were to lose the entire front porch overhang and just went to just a deck?
Again, that's something that your design professional and maybe Amy would be able to discuss with you to get it down to that. That could be. I'm not an expert on that, sir. I don't know how to calculate that, and I would be lying to you to tell you that I did. So,
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, if
Yeah.
I may, Mr. Carnivos, we are being granted a 5% increase for the floor area ratio today and a foot decrease in the front yard setback. So the board is granting us variances. It's just not as high as what we requested. You are still going to be able to build your second floor. We're just going to have to alter it slightly to make it work within the FAR. If we removed the front portico completely, that wouldn't make a difference because the front portico at the 6-foot negotiated depth does not count towards FAR anymore. So, and again, I will call you when the hearing is complete. That way we could talk about it a little bit further.
Okay, thank you for that explanation, and I appreciate it. I just, as I said, I'm just a homeowner living in Holbrook.
We want to
No,
help you
we get
as
it.
much as we
get it.
can, sir. We
We-
really
we-
do. And if you knew the chairman, he really wants to help people.
Indubitably.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Chairman, I move that we deny the application as submitted. However, grant the application with a front yard of 19 feet instead of permitted encroachment setback of 20 feet, and for a floor area ratio of 30% rather than the 36%.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great night all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Pissarro, can you tell us who is here for second call, please?
Yes, application number 12, Megan Stoya.
Okay, hang on, I'll get that and I'll call that.
Okay. It's 218-21.
Okay, thank you. Recalling application number 218-21, Megan A. Finnemore Stoya, permission to leave shed not having a 20 feet behind the front line of the dwelling. Residence AA District, north side of Ventura Lane, number 1, 181 feet west of Aberdeen Road, Bay Shore, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Hi, this is Megan Stoya,
Good evening. Just address for the record, please.
1 Ventura Lane, Bay Shore, New York.
Great. How long has your shed been up?
Been up for 7 years. We didn't even know it was a violation, to be completely frank. When we bought the house, we put it up and then we were doing work on the house and found out it was in violation. So mistake on our behalf.
It used to be, the code used to say 10 feet behind the front line of the dwelling. Is it approximately 10 feet? I don't know if the rule is, man, approximately 10 feet, man.
Yeah, it's at least 10 feet behind. Right?
It's about 10 feet, yes.
Okay. About 10
Mr. Chairman, it's a small shed. I think
Sure.
it's the minimum.
Yeah,
I'll support
in
it.
a corner and we're in the back of somebody's.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Board have any questions? Mr. Nicoli, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted.
Thanks so
Have a great
much.
night.
All right, now final application then, it's recalling application number 222-21, Pavlo Tupacek, excuse me, permission to erect a first and second story decks with pergola, leaving a rear yard of 17.6 feet instead of required 25 feet, to install a pool, leaving a rear yard of 5.6 feet instead of required 14 feet, install a driveway and side property line not having required setback of 4 feet, Residence A District, southerly terminus of Sequams Lane Center, number 258, 1,496.7 feet south of Park Place, West Islip, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant? Sir, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Hey,
Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Pavlo Tupachuk, 34 Stewart Avenue, Babylon, New York, 11702.
Have you been before the board on this before, sir?
Yes, I have for
I
the
thought so.
FAR. That was
Okay.
a few months ago.
Mhm.
This deck was originally on the plan, but I believe it was just missed by the plan examiner.
Well,
So,
it's more than just the deck. There's a pool,
Uh-huh.
there's a
Well, it's a few-
driveway.
Yeah, so it's a future pool and 2-story deck, first story and second story.
How much, Ms. Pissarro, how much of relief did we give the last time?
So the last application involved floor area ratio and elevation above base flood.
And he came back twice, as I recall, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The last time this was on, I just don't recall, I don't have my notes here. Did we address the pool at 5.6 instead of 14?
That wasn't proposed.
It wasn't proposed, yeah.
How do we grant?
No, it wasn't, not that it wasn't
This-
proposed. It
Well,
wasn't,
wait, it doesn't matter. It's on the calendar, it's on the call. How do we grant the 66% relaxation? What's the rationale if your property doesn't support it?
I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
understand.
as I recall, we were very generous the last time around on giving relief
Yeah.
on this.
Let's
How
ask
do
Deirdre from
grant-
planning what the, what objection she has on it. I agree with you both on it. Let's just see what planning has to say. Deirdre?
So this does face the Great South Bay, so it's not like a neighbor would be very close. Let me get to the aerial just so you could see. So it would be back here, but yeah, there's no precedent for a rear yard of 5.6.
What about the deck with the pergola?
No precedent for that either, but if they can get to maybe like 20 and 25 instead of 25, I'd feel more comfortable with that. But I'm not sure where they are. I know it says proposed, but I'm not sure if that was, the decks were already built or anything like that.
I don't know about the rest of the board, but I don't know if 3 times is going to be a charm for this.
I'm with you, Mr. Wexler.
I'm ready to decide this case, gentlemen.
Well, like Deirdre said, this is facing the Great South Bay. There's no neighbors. We're not asking for any side yard relief.
There's no end to your asking, and that's the problem. What you're doing here is what
Well-
a former chairman of this board used to call the Pac-Man theory, where you take a little here and then a little more there and a little more there,
Well-
and we never would have granted it in the first instance had you come forward with all of it at the same time.
Well, my thing
So
is,
I have to
this
tell
was-
you, you'd be hard pressed to convince me otherwise. Not that I won't listen, but you're very hard pressed to convince me otherwise.
Well, we submitted this originally from the first variance, and the person was there, did not put this on the variance for some reason, and we were not aware that it was a variance required for the decks at 11 and a half feet away from the house. The person's name is Aldo. I'm not sure of the last name. So the variance that we
Aldo Bernardi was one of the finest civil servants the town
Yes.
of Islip has ever seen. So please don't blame him, sir.
Yeah.
I'm not
Additionally,
blaming it.
it's on the call now, so we're addressing it now. Whether you claim somebody did or didn't, whatever, it's on the call now, and there's no precedent to support this. Zero.
Well, I was hoping the fact that I have no neighbors in the back, you guys would
Nope.
look at
Not
this.
at
a
all.
little
All right.
different.
Well,
Not
you can,
five.
absolutely, no worries.
Why don't we reserve this and talk about this as a board?
If you wish, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd always
Okay.
give you that courtesy, you know that.
Certainly. All right.
Mr. Tupacek, we're gonna vote on if we're gonna reserve a decision, and we'll discuss this. in our orders to find out where we're going to be with this. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? I make a motion to reserve decision.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we reserve, we got 62 days by law to render a decision. We will get to you as soon as we possibly can.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Have a
Have a
great
good
day.
night. Ms. Pissarro, do we have other things to
We
vote
do.
on? All right.
We have a couple of cases to read in. Oh, I'm just clearing the panel, and there was somebody who indicated they wanted to be heard. I don't know if you'd like to address her and explain that the application was not scheduled for consideration tonight. She was interested in the application on Furrows Road, the battery energy storage.
Well, maybe you'll just tell her, we can't hear now. I mean, the matter's closed.
Yeah,
So why don't
and
you tell
we
her?
can't take testimony or
Yeah.
anything, so.
You'll do a good job of it, Mary.
Okay.
She'll love you.
Okay, I'm moving Carmela out of the meeting. Well, I'll keep her there, but I just wanted to understand what took place. Okay, the applications that we have to read in are in West Islip and on Fire Island. So it sounds like, Bill, you are the star.
Wow.
He always is the
Mhm.
star.
Whoa, in my own mind.
Mhm. So we have application number 648-20, Cynthia Marie Berger McGee and Julie A. McGee. And this was granted permission to install an above-ground pool, leaving a front yard on the through lot of 14 feet instead of required 40 feet, and denied as to the roofed-over patio having side yard of 3 feet instead of required 14 feet. On motion of,
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
and then application number 70-21, Gibbons and Associates LLC. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated April 13, 2021, the application is granted as amended at the public hearing with the additional condition that the accessory structure not be used for livable space. On motion of,
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
okay, thank you for those. And we have 8 accessory apartments to renew.
Motion to grant for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye, caramba.
All right, everybody, I'm giving you off next
I'll make a
Tuesday.
motion then to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Goodbye, everybody.
Mary,
Bye.
can we
See you guys,
discuss one case when we
We're
go
off.
off public session?
Sure. Well, hold on, give me one
We're
more
still live.
second.
Hang on.
We're off next Tuesday, did you say?
I'm giving you guys off next Tuesday.
Oh, thank you.
The town board is having an evening Zoom meeting, right, Tom and Wendy?
Are we off?
Correct.
No, we're not
No,
off yet.
Are we adjourned?
We are adjourned.